Alright guys, so Season 8 just dropped for Apex and we obviously got some legend changes, we got buffs, we got nerfs as well, and the meta was shifted slightly in Season 8, but Respawn was already teasing us and talking about some upcoming legend nerfs and buffs on the way. If you guys watched yesterday's video, basically I talked about how Respawn understands that Season 8, although we did have some legend changes, it still wasn't a very big meta change compared to like Season 7 or even Season 6. Respawn understands and Respawn knows that a lot more could have been done in terms of meta changes in this season. So because of that simple fact, Respawn has many changes, many legend changes on the way, and they most likely will arrive sometime during the mid-season 8 update. Now lucky for you guys watching this video right now, we do have some information on some of those legend changes coming to Apex, and obviously I am here to give you guys all of the information right now. We have some changes coming to Gibby, to Caustic, to Loba, to Revenant, and even Lifeline and Pathfinder very soon. So we have some, a lot of things taking place in this game, and the meta most likely will change a lot very soon. For you guys out there who main certain legends who weren't, really change that much in Season 8, or maybe you even want to main different legends but for some reason they just aren't as good as you want them to be, then keep watching this video right now because we could be getting some changes very soon, and these changes could benefit some of you guys out there as well. So with that said, leave a like if you guys do happen to enjoy the video, subscribe if you're new, and let's take a look at some legend buffs and nerfs coming in Season 8. So first up, we have some good news for Revenant mains, because Revenant most likely will be getting a buff very soon in this game. Now I'm actually terrible with Revenant, guys. I can't play this character at all. I've tried to play Revenant sometimes, but I just for some reason cannot play Revenant, and Respawn is trying to find a way right now to give him a buff. So the lead game designer at Respawn, Daniel Klein, gave some information about this over on Reddit because some fans were obviously asking about Revenant in the AMA that Respawn had. So we have two responses from Daniel Klein. First up, somebody asked, as a long-time Revenant player and the main, I feel one thing that really got brought to light this season was how little damage his tactical does in comparison to Forge. I think he meant Fuse right there because Forge is dead. Forge is dead. Beyond his passive, I think there is an avenue there for buffing potential. Daniel Klein responded and said, we do want to be very careful not to position his abilities as primary damage dealers. Revenant's tactical is pretty reliably hittable, so probably not a great candidate for more damage. Now this makes complete sense to me because Revenant's tactical isn't supposed to really do damage primarily, it's supposed to take away people's abilities. So adding damage to that when you already have no abilities, no ultimates, no tacticals doesn't make sense because that's not the main focus of Revenant's tactical ability. Now someone else actually chimed in on the conversation and said this, if anything, I think that part of Revenant's kit is OP. His tactical is extremely frustrating to fight against, not only because the silence effect but because of the ridiculous visual clutter on your screen and from the orb itself, which is actually very true. Not only that, but the silence effect persists after full wiping a Revenant team. That part should be removed just like the Caustic out change this season. Don't get me wrong, Rev needs some help, but his tactical is not the area to buff. I agree with this guy, Lumpy Chicken over on Reddit, bro. I agree with you, that makes a lot of sense to me, and it seems like Daniel Klein agrees as well because here's what he said, that's what makes buffing him so hard. It's clear he needs buffs, but it's also equally clear that his tactical and ultimate shouldn't be straight up just buffed. So Respawn is trying to find some way to buff Revenant, and most likely they will arrive at some solution at the mid-season 8 update, so look forward to that for all of you Revenant mains out there. I wouldn't say Rev is a bad legend to use though, because his ultimate is really dangerous if a team knows how to use it, and he can be a very effective and strategic legend as well. So I would just say give Revenant more climbing potential, make him climb higher and faster as well, make him crouch walk even faster as well, and just buff him in those areas. But I think his abilities right now are pretty good. Somebody else who could be getting buffed very soon is Loba. I kind of talked about this in yesterday's video, guys, but Respawn is actually testing out ways right now and experimenting with ways to buff Loba, and more specifically Loba's bracelet. Obviously Loba was just buffed in Season 8 because her ultimate is now even more insane. You can basically steal loot from care packages and actually see what loot is in care packages as well, which is crazy. They're actually currently testing out and talking about removing the slowdown effect that you have when you do use Loba's bracelet. So like when you're actually throwing the bracelet, guys, you kind of, you know, are slowed, and also just after you teleport you have some sort of a delay as well to ready up. So Respawn has said that they're testing removing the slow effect on these animations right now, and although it kind of sounds a little bit crazier, Respawn says that the data isn't too bad. Now the reason Respawn is taking so long to introduce a bracelet change or a tactical buff to Loba is because teleportation in any multiplayer game, especially a battle royale game like Apex, is a very dangerous ability to have, right? And Respawn is basically saying that if they do it wrong and if it's not balanced well, it could be very annoying to have a random Loba just teleporting behind you with, like, you know, no slowing down and no time to ready up and just killing you. So it could be very annoying if Respawn does it wrong, but I still think they could try to give her more usability when using her bracelet. So we'll see what Respawn does, but it is confirmed that Respawn is working right now on some sort of tactical ability buff for Loba. Alright, so that's all of the confirmed buffs we know of right now. Let's move on to the nerfs, and it seems like the thick boys in Apex, so Gibby and Caustic, both have nerfs coming to them very soon. First up, let's take a look at Caustic. Now, I think I talked about this recently as well, but this was also on the AMA, and basically what somebody asked Respawn was, you know, why are abilities so strong right now in Apex? Like, why do abilities make such of a difference in this game if this game is supposed to be about gunplay and gunfights? And in talking about these abilities being so strong in Apex, he also referenced Caustic and talked about how Caustic is extremely strong, how Caustic completely stops fights and stuff. And here's what Respawn had to say. It was a very good response in my opinion, and Respawn gave a full response to this question. So John Larson, who is the associate live balance designer at Respawn, said this: "I think ever since the change to gas allowed teammates to play in the gas with relatively no repercussions, there was a lot of unrealized potential that was quickly tapped into within the past couple of months. Caustic is undeniably strong and has the highest win rate in matches that last over 20 minutes. Caustic plays a unique role as a defensive legend that can act offensively in certain scenarios, and we have to make sure we tweak him in a way that removes frustration without hurting how it feels to play as Caustic." Long story short, we hear the community feedback. As a player, I feel it's valid. The data backs up that he's strong and he'll be getting some attention in the near future. He also went on to talk about how Respawn will try to find some way to remove the importance and I wouldn't say the importance, but the reliance on abilities in a game like Apex, which is supposed to be mainly focused on gun skill to win, you know, gunfights. So with that said, a Caustic nerf is very much on the way right now. It's really interesting because just like 1 or 2 months ago, Respawn was talking about buffing Caustic, and now here we are and Respawn is talking about nerfing Caustic. So in 1 month, Caustic didn't really go under that much changes in this past month, guys. So what really changed Respawn's mind was you guys. Like, the community feedback is that important in a game like Apex. So when I tell you guys to leave comments and stuff, this is why. Respawn, believe it or not, looks at, you know, comments on YouTube and tweets and Reddit posts and stuff. So as I always say, guys, leave a comment on your thoughts and leave a comment on what you want to see in this game, because your simple comment can make a huge difference. Sometimes devs who play this game have a completely different outlook on it, because I'm not gonna say that this is true for every single dev, but some devs just, you know, code and actually make changes, and some devs don't really have, you know, a full idea or full understanding of how certain legends play and how they actually influence games. And that right there is where the community feedback comes in. So although we still have more changes to mention in today's video, right, before we move on, what change would you want to see in this game? What nerf, what buff, what would you want to see Respawn do in Season 8? Leave your comments down below. I read all of them, and as I just said, Respawn might be watching as well. So go ahead, guys, what do you want to see in Season 8? Next up, we have a Gibby nerf, which is confirmed to be coming in the mid-season update, and this nerf is much needed right now for Gibby's gun shield. Now, I've seen some comments saying that, you know, Respawn needs to buff Gibby and Gibby is a weak legend and all of this stuff, and whoever thinks that Gibby is weak isn't a very good Gibby player, because any good Gibby main out there could do some extreme damage with Gibby. Gibby is a very strong legend in this game. If anyone says that Gibby is a weak legend, I'm not trying to hate on anybody out there, but if you think Gibby is weak, you might just be a weak player. No shade. Alright, so what the Respawn is going to be doing to Gibby is pretty simple. They're going to be adding damage bleed through to his gun shield. Basically what that means is that if someone hits you with, like, let's say a Kraber shot, the gun shield will still absorb some of the damage, but the rest of that damage from the Kraber shot will have an impact on Gibby's HP, which to me is a great change because it still means that Gibby's gun shield, you know, will protect him in straight up 1v1s. If someone has like a R99 or R301, they could still tank a lot of damage with the gun shield. But now if someone has a Mastiff or a Kraber or a PK or any very high damage dealing gun, Gibby will now experience bleed through with his gun shield, which to me, as I said, is a good change. Alright, so next up, let's talk about some legend reworks that might be coming very soon. Now we really won't know if a legend rework will be a buff or a nerf unless we actually get to play it in game, so that's why it's in a separate category, but it still counts as a legend change obviously. So first up, we have Lifeline. Lifeline to me right now is insane, especially because of her fast reses and stuff, but here's what the Respawn had to say when someone asked if Lifeline will be getting fast heals back and if they'll be reverting the res that she has right now, the insane fast res. Respawn said, Lifeline's supposed to be a supportive character, someone who helps her team. Putting fast heals on her was understandable from a fantasy perspective. She's a medic. She is super quick at using syringes, but it made no sense at all for her gameplay fantasy. It only made her heal herself quicker, which is a very selfish type of power. I agree with you that her passive is a big point of frustration in the player base, and we're definitely looking at it. We've got some super early experimental changes we're playtesting right now, but it's too early to talk about yet. So basically Respawn has been planning some Lifeline changes, trying to, you know, rework Lifeline possibly, and I think right now, because everyone is talking about how, you know, insane her fast reses and just like spamming reses, I feel like Respawn will do something very soon to address, you know, that part of Lifeline. So for all of you Lifeline mains out there, look out for a nerf very soon. I think Lifeline would still be a very good and a very, you know, effective legend even if she is nerfed, but Respawn is trying to find a way right now to just change her and I would say rework, but as I said, it most likely will arrive sometime in the mid-season update, so look forward to that. Now we do have one more change, but I think I'll save that for a completely separate video because it's a very interesting change on one of the most iconic legends in this game, and I think it deserves its own separate video. So I'll make that video very soon, but until then, I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in some more Apex. Till next time.